So moving on to again, it's your third team, but it's my second team. I do think that the Rangers will finish second in the division, but that puts them at 86, and Pacoda has them at, I should say, at 86 and 76. 2023, that is a decrease from 2023, I should say. 90 and 72. They did, of course, go on to win the World Series. Now their lineup, like I just said, didn't change that much. The only real change is likely coming at the DH position, which hopefully, I really do hope that Wyatt Langford can get the tap. And for those who don't know, Wyatt Langford was also, just like Nolan Chanwell was drafted last year, first round pick. So that could be huge for this lineup if he keeps absolutely demolishing baseballs like he has been this spring. The biggest thing, though, is the Rangers lost a lot of depth in their bench, and then, of course, pitching-wise as well. That one dude, Aroldis Chapman, is gone now. Chris Stratton is gone, which that's I feel like that one's gonna hurt too a little bit. I know it kind of gets lost in the shuffle of guys that stepped up. After Jordan Montgomery was a fucking beast, but
right,
Chris Stratton, I think, is going to be missed as well. They lost a lot of guys, and I know they have some guys that they invited to big league camp, but that are on minor league deals. You got Matt Duffy, Diego Castillo, Shane Green, Jared Walsh, and they also signed Tyler Mahle, David Robertson. They signed Kirby Yates, Andrew Knizner. Sorry, pardon me.
My issue with the Rangers is their starting rotation, because, like you said, they went ahead and they signed Tyler Mahle, but he's out pretty much probably until about July.
Yeah, they said that probably July or August is the more likely timetable for him.
The same with DeGrom, August. Scherzer, we're looking at June or July. So you're really going through your bulk of your season with, Nathan Eovaldi, John Gray, Dane Dunning, Andrew Heaney, and then probably a mix of Bradford.
Who is not great.
Exactly. And I understand, and people need to understand there's a difference of Nathan Eovaldi in the playoffs and then regular season, especially when he's being asked to anchor that rotation. And, the way they had it lined up, he would be a number 4 for them, a number 3 for them. So it's a little
Nathan.
Yes. With healthy. Yeah. No, if healthy.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're asking a number 3, number 4 really to come and be your number 1 for the majority of the season. So my issue with them is just their starting pitching, because you are in a division where runs will be scored. The Astros have bats, the Mariners have bats. And, to that exact point, the A's last year went on a streak where they were putting up crooked numbers for like 4 weeks in a row and being competitive. So Andrew Heaney loves to give up home runs. So the Rangers, for me, I had them third. Their offense will be able to keep them in games. I just don't know if their pitching will be able to sustain that for a full season, or until they can get some of those horses back.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope it doesn't end up in another situation where they're using guys from the bullpen like they did last season, which, listen, it was awesome to get, multiple outs, more than 3 outs out of Josh Boers, more than 3 outs out of Jose Leclerc. Those guys were up there throwing freaking, trying to get 5, 6, sometimes 7 outs at a time. That's not what those guys are built for, So hopefully it doesn't come to it. If they don't sign Jordan Montgomery again, which in my opinion, and again, this is something we didn't get a chance to talk about, the Scott Boras impact right now and how the market is responding to the tax, that they normally pay his clients. Listen, like 3 years, dude,
yeah.
We can't make that rock. I just feel like we're in and listen, obviously I don't think that it's necessarily going to happen again like it did last season. There were a lot of factors that came into play, but just that one guy can make such a big difference.
I think in the end, they go ahead and get a deal with Jordan Montgomery. I think similar to probably Cody Bellinger. The way this shit has been going the last couple of weeks, we get off the show and somebody fucking signs at 1,
Right.
2 a.m. So I think that'll probably be this week. I think him or Snell gets signed. I think Jordan Montgomery just ends up back with the Rangers. It just makes sense at this point if nobody's biting for him.
Random. Where do you think Blake Snell's going to end up?
Oh, I think with the Giants.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, I think with the Giants.
I would like to see. And listen, I mean, they have Robbie Ray, which when they made that trade with Seattle, it wasn't necessarily like a salary dump move for either team because both Mitch Haniger and DeSclafani combined were owed about the same amount that Robbie Ray had left on his contract. So for the Giants, they just cleared a roster spot, right? When they gave those moves up. So, I mean, yeah, it's not like they can't afford him. You didn't sign Brandon Crawford. Like, I can't say that I don't see it. It's not a bad move.
Yeah, I think that's where he ends up. I think, and you know, with that connection, you know, with Boris just getting that deal done right now with Chapman there, I think San Fran is a good spot, like a good launching pad for certain players to go ahead and put up some numbers, and he can still be a trade candidate or opt out at the end of the year. But I think it's going to be similar to what we've been seeing, these 3-year deals with an opt out after the first 2.
Yeah, let's all just like have a moment and like bow our heads for our dear friend in Anaheim, Perry Manassian, who is actually not a bad GM, right? Like contrary to popular belief, the guy's not bad at his job. He just has the misfortune of having a owner like Artie Moreno who doesn't want to spend the money on quality pitching. Because like imagine if they paid Blake Snell, right? Like,
right.
What else are you guys doing? That would, if the Angels signed Blake Snell, then I would have no choice but to like, do they have angels.tv? I would have to subscribe, you know, like I would have to. But moving on to our consensus number 1 team, as we've quickly established, the team that is projected to win the American League West, according to the Dakota standings, at 95 wins and 67 losses. That is the Houston Astros. Similarly to the Rangers, there's not a whole lot of transformation in their lineup. The only real change is coming at the catcher spot. They got rid of finally, like, again, I'm not an Astros fan at all, but I just, for the life of me, could not understand how Martin Maldonado, like he had to have been blackmailing somebody. There's no way.
What do you got against Puerto Rican catchers?
There's just no, I'm so sorry. Watching that man, that was one of the like cringiest experiences of the past 2 seasons of like truly honing in on Astros baseball. Yeah. It was painful. Like, and there's no, respectfully, his defensive metrics do not constitute the need for basically having a strikeout or you know, an out, you know, every time he comes up through the lineup. It wasn't worth it. So I'm glad that Yainer Diaz is finally getting the catcher spot that he deserves. And
you know, they also went and picked up Victor Caratini though.
Correct.
So that's another. They solidified that spot there. I think really the only major change with them is just out of the bullpen, losing Hector Neris to the Cubs, and then Stanek, like we said.
Which is the Hector Neris one still blows my mind because he didn't get that much money. He got what, like $9 million?
But that's a lot for 1 year. That's a lot for 1 year for a reliever.
But Hector Neris was a quality reliever, you know. Right, it just was. It was disappointing that he left, especially because he was nails in their pen. So that was a shocker for me. But kind of like the Rangers, my biggest question mark with the Astros is the pitching, the starting pitching. Obviously, we know that Justin Verlander is off to a slow start, but they've been incredibly cryptic about when he's going to get going, when he's going to finally be able to join the team and start pitching. JP France, also one of their starters, possible starters, you know, not necessarily someone that they hope to rely on. But the biggest question for me out of that rotation is Framber Valdez. Which Framber Valdez are we going to get this year? Are Astros fans going to get this year? Are we going to get lights out Framber?
Yeah, no, that's a tough one because he is so volatile. You know, because he's really a ground ball pitcher, but when he leaves it up, I mean, they hit him and they hit him hard. So I'm interested in seeing the growth from Hunter Brown because he's going to have to take on more of a role in that rotation, taking on some innings. You got Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy. At some point, they'll get Lance McCullers back. I'm not really worried about their rotation. I think I'm a little bit more worried about their bullpen. Their bullpen and losing those guys, Ryan Stanley. They did pick up Josh Hader, so that is big for them.
$5 million.
Correct. That's big for them, but who is going to be that setup guy to get them there? But in the end, they have so much firepower off.
Yeah, Ryan Presley still too, who was a closer, who was their closer, So just pitch him obviously before, right? That's not an ideal scenario, but Hader's got to get a night off too, right? So that's nice to have two closers in your bullpen. Hopefully Rafael Montero gets his. That's my sister, by the way. Hi, Ashley. What's up?
Yeah. Courtney don't like Puerto Ricans.
That's crazy, actually, when you say that. He doesn't mean that. I love Puerto Ricans. Isn't Bad Bunny Puerto Rican?
Yeah. Don't get him started. He did his top 5 Puerto Ricans last Friday. He said he's Puerto Rican Jesus is what you call him. That paper on his player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna